it's not the same on social media. It's definitely not the same inside of gaming. In gaming, you're basically like a guest in their house. So if you don't understand them and you're just showing up in a way that you think is going to look cool, it will get rejected and it will be cringy AF, So really, what you have to do is you have to understand the platform. You have to understand the player. You have to respect the player. It's time for Brands in Play, the podcast about immersive marketing. I'm Nic Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
And I'm Albane Prioux, Insights and Partnership Director at GEEIQ. And on today's episode, we have something very special prepared for our listeners. We know that there's still a lot of questions that brands have around gaming, virtual world, and what makes sense for them.
That's right. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to do a deep dive into some of the most frequently asked questions by brands around our industry.
And if you like what you see, please subscribe, review, and drop a comment with the hashtag Brands in Play. Let's dive in.
Let's go. We're back with another episode. It just keeps going.
Back. Yeah, and a new format. I'm really excited about this one. So I encourage everyone that's listening to let us know if you like this kind of new format as well, because this is a first for us, but I'm excited. First things first, how's your week been?
The week was good. I took a little mini vacation. I still have my vacation shirt on. I
can see that.
Vacation state of mind.
I always see you with black t-shirt, gray t-shirt, white t-shirt, black t-shirt, black t-shirts.
You gotta make, that's my uniform.
Shirts.
You gotta mix it up sometimes. But yeah, vacation was cool. I was on the coast here in California with the family, and it was cool because we didn't bring the iPads for the kids.
Nice.
It was like, let's just not do a screen time thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't care. And we did a ton of time at the beach. They were building sand castles. I was doing a ton of digging in sand, and yeah, it was fun. What about you?
I'm sorry. I just love that. I think this is how when you build like core memories as well as time spent together, and we keep on repeating it, but I don't think there's going to be any time that we're all going to be plugged into a metaverse. I think it's about a balance, and I just love the fact that you have that. This sounds like a wholesome holiday.
It was dope. Yeah, getting that IRL time in and that physical, just non-virtual time spent at school. What about you?
No, on my end, I would say very busy at the moment with work. I think planning for H2. So a lot of exciting things are happening on our end. We do have, I think, a really exciting launch that's happened with Maybelline. So I think I've mentioned it in one of our episodes that they've launched their first own world, but they've done a similar thing to Fenty, but they've also released their first beauty IRL that you can check out within their own experiences, and that's through Amazon. So really excited to see it live as well.
Congrats. That sounds super dope. Gotta check that out.
Only for you guys in the US. I'm still excited. I can't wait for this to be more deployed. I know it's still in beta for Roblox, but yeah, I'm hoping that we in the UK are going to be able to do this, because I'm just excited to see how people are going to start shopping or discovering product that way.
We need global IRL commerce to be applied across all these platforms. So
absolutely,
definitely a supporter of that. And the one thing that's top of mind in my house right now is these guys.
Oh no,
the Labubu. You know about these? I didn't even want one, but my wife was like, the kids have them, I have them, you need one. So I got this Labubu, and I'm gonna put him back here in the relic collection.
Was that the one you wanted?
I don't know. It came in a box. I opened it. I didn't want to overthink it. It's fine.
Okay.
He's cool, right?
I mean, they are everywhere. And I think what's really funny, and we can talk about it actually in our deep dive, but there are Labubus everywhere on the marketplace, on Roblox at the moment. So it just really shows these are spaces where people are just recreating things that they like in IRL. So we're definitely going to speak about digital identity, and Labubu is the proof in the pudding that those kind of marketplace a reflection of what's trending on other social platforms.
And there are knockoffs everywhere in the real world and in the virtual marketplaces.
They're not official Labubu, but they're not. And how much are they in the US? How much is it in the US?
$20, $20, $20 or $30, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, not astronomical, but it's quite a racket if you ask me. On that note, Should we
Let's go
jump
to
into
the
some
news.
news? Let's
Yes.
go.
The first piece of news that I have is quite an exciting one. So it's from Unilever, one of their own brand called Walls. I'm sure you have them as well in the US. But it's an ice cream brand. They've done a partnership with Minecraft where they created this really cool ice cream cone. It's in a block format. Essentially, you have like the grass, the soil, and I think that's where you have like the diamonds that everyone is looking for on Minecraft. So their story was like really, really fun for them to tap into like still the trend and I think the hype that you have around the release of the movie. But something that I thought was really interesting in the press release that we haven't seen updated stats in a while from Minecraft. So I just wanted to like shout them out. I think we already know that Minecraft is a really big game that is played by millions of players, but we have now a new updated stats with 170 million monthly active players above the age of 24. So that's quite interesting and not something that I've seen communicated by New Gen before. And then the other piece of news that I thought was quite interesting that was in this press release was that the success of the Minecraft movie added 30% of new players to the game. So again, something that I
Damn.
haven't seen, but this is huge. So really interesting, I think, to really clever again for Unilever to be part again of this hype because there's obviously new users that are coming to Minecraft, but also showing the success of the movie from a user acquisition point of view. So overall, very clever, and they've obviously leveraged endemic influencers on TikTok and also on Twitch to be able to launch this new ice cream. It is available in the UK, so I will try to find it so that you can see it, and maybe I'll show you the packaging in our next episode. But yeah, well done, Unilever. I really like to see that. It's simple, it's about the packaging, but also the product itself. And I just love that. I think that was a clever way to jump on a hype around the IP.
Yeah, that's super dope. I love this. It's very simple. I've been watching a lot of Minecraft lately because my son is so into it. And yeah, just looking at this ice cream bar, it looks exactly like what you're seeing on on your screen
Exactly.
when
I
you're
thought it was
mining.
really fun. The
Yeah.
last piece of news actually that was really interesting for brands to know is that this took 4 months to do. So, when we think
Oh.
about a product, an IP partnership, we always think about it's super lengthy, it takes a year. And I know that certain brands are set up in a way that is quite complex to release a product. But even a really large FMC group like Unilever, I just thought it was really incredible that they've managed to pull this off in 4 months. They've had something from ideation to freezer, and I just love that ideology. But really impressive. And again, it's just to show that you can be reactive. I know it's not as reactive as creating, an integration on Roblox, but again, kudos to their team for doing that in such a short time frame.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing and encouraging to know that you can be reactive and move
Exactly.
fast. Because yeah, every time you start talking about products, it's usually like, oh, that's 6 months or a year out. So
Yeah, exactly. Or yeah, so yeah, very
cool to
smart,
see.
quick, effective. Love it.
Nice. So my story, next news story is also all about Minecraft and a partnership they did with Swarovski, the crystal company. Essentially, they are creating both digital items and also IRL crystal items and selling those in the real world. And so this is a collaboration that just launched, and it's got some pretty expensive IRL items. I think the average price is around $350,
Hmm.
and they're just these small little collectible crystal figurines of the Creeper and Steve and a few other like main characters. uh is interesting. I don't know how it's gonna go down. I'm curious to see how it will perform. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, until I would have seen this press release from Unilever, so 170 million monthly active users whose average age is 24. So that's a lot older than I thought. For Minecraft. So maybe there are some of them that are, I think for these type of like really expensive product, I think it's you're appealing to the collectible sides as opposed to maybe the broad audience of Minecraft that would just like to buy the ice cream and that's just fun. And I think we have really two extreme here. One is a collectible, very high value product that probably is going to appeal to only a very small percentage of that that monthly active users, while the other one is just something that, you see on your daily shop and might pick up in your cart because that's just interesting and that's fun. It's two very different strategy. I don't know. I don't know the
Well,
purchasing power of Minecraft users. Maybe there is a uh, how do you call it? A crossover with the Charles. I never know how to say this brand.
which
Travel.
one? Surowski?
That's it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Doesn't roll off the tongue. It definitely doesn't look like that. But yes, that's how it's pronounced, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, you did well.
I think that, this is interesting because, like you said, the average age of the Minecraft players is older. So they have disposable income. And I mean, I'm not a Minecraft player, and I actually wanted one as a video
Really?
game collector because I'm just like, wow, this is an interesting partnership. This is like a relic that could, have value in the future. It's interesting to me. I think the price point is a little high, but I can see a lot of those fans that have that nostalgia and have that love for Minecraft, leaning in and grabbing one. So I'm very curious to see. I'd love to. I'd love to like get a report on how this performs
Yeah,
6
yeah,
months
yeah.
in.
Absolutely. Oh, let's see. My next piece of news is fresh live as of today, but Roblox launches a new licensing platform for experiences, and they've already teased a little bit that this was coming in their roadmap. But we now have an official list of IPs that creators will be able to leverage. So similar model than what we've seen on Fortnite before, and actually you'll find the usual suspect or IPs that we've seen before, like Squid Game being part of that list, but also new IP like Stranger Things, Twilight, Saw, Divergent, Now You See Me, and Like a Dragon. So really, I'm really excited. Twilight, I thought that's going to be really funny how they're gonna. I think it's because there's a bit of the cult around this IP. Stranger Thing makes so much sense as well with the watch party still, I think, being incredibly successful when it launched. So I'm really excited to see, like, those are really strong IP, all entertainment that creators can now leverage. And I think it's a good strategy that Roblox is launching, because this is obviously going to incentivize a lot of developers either to come on Roblox to be able to build with those ISP, because there's a monetization incentive here. So I think overall this is a really exciting route that they're launching here. But what were your thoughts?
Well, I think a couple things. I'm in support of this. I think it's much needed. I think one of the big problems is there's so many like illegal games that are on Roblox. It's like they're
Yeah.
they're using the IP without permission, and they're building these really popular games that are getting tons of engagement. And obviously that's not kosher. So you need a solution for that. Because you don't want to take the games down because people love the IP, and but at the same time, if those developers are making so much money, you can
Yeah,
make the argument that like they're they don't have the rights to do that.
I agree. Yeah. I
So
mean, we've seen this on Fortnite, right? So what's happened for Squid Game is that a lot of the bootleg experiences were then banned, so removed if they were not utilizing the official IP. But then what we've seen is that instead of, they might have changed the name slightly to, like, I think I've seen some that are called like Octopus as opposed to
Octopus
Squid
game.
Game. So they're still around this. Obviously, like, I mean, at the end, it is a UGC platform, so it's hard, I think, for a lot of those platforms to control the content at that scale. But I think this is a good step as well forward to be able to at least have some set of rules, and when something is deemed to be breaking those rules and IP infringement, but at least it's like a next step and some regulation around it. So probably you're not gonna prevent people from trying to bypass this the same way as you can't prevent people from trying to create dupes of your physical product. But at least there's a bit of like a structure on what happens if there is an IP infringement. So I think this is quite reassuring for a lot of brands that I think were a little bit cold feet about the idea of having their IP on there, or unsure about how their IP were being portrayed. Now they can have a bit more of a control over it.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction and some guidelines for, everyone to stay within. I think the question will become, you know, do these games actually monetize, and is it a big enough cut for the developers to leverage this, or
Yeah,
are they
it's
going
at
to
the
find
discretion.
alternative
So that's
ways?
quite interesting. Like, it's at the discretion of the IP developers. So some of them have like a 50% revenue share. Others are like 15. I've seen 20. So it's at the discretion of the IP owner. Roblox doesn't control that as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, well, I think we'll keep an eye on it, and then we'll identify some of the more successful games that leverage this partnership, and we'll report back to you guys all about that.
Sounds good.
My last story is all about Superman. The new Superman movie is out, and he is on Fortnite. So this is to promote the new film that's in theaters right now from Warner Brothers. And just a few days ago, they brought him to Fortnite, and essentially it lets players become Superman. It's a full new skin, and there's all kinds of abilities that he has, like the laser eyes and the ability to fly and all this stuff. I haven't played it myself, but the footage looks great. It looks really entertaining. He's like one of those IP characters that you want to be, right? It's like you have dreams of flying and doing stuff like Superman. So I think this kind of like gives players that ability, which is exciting. But I will say there was some negative feedback on for the players saying that he's not powerful enough. So I think they had bigger aspirations of how badass Superman should be
Right.
on Fortnite. But yeah, I don't know. Have you seen this? What were your thoughts?
I haven't seen it, and like funnily enough, I didn't even know like there hasn't been much comms around the new movie, or at least here in the UK. So first thing that I'm hearing about a new movie, and that's through Fortnite. So quite interesting. I was looking at who was the new Superman actor. So it's not Harry Cavill anymore, but I'm excited to see. And in general, I'm really excited to see Fortnite doing more of these activation. I think I would love to see different type of IP. I feel like we've done the Marvel, we've done the like that side of Disney. So I would love to see maybe like a different type of IP being brought to the platform.
Yeah, well, I think that I got to give props to Fortnite in general. It's like they they have their pulse on pop culture in
Yeah.
all ways, shapes, and forms, and they figure out how to seamlessly integrate it into battle royale at large consistently. So I'm really impressed by that. But I
Mm,
know we talked about timelines earlier, and I've been told that that process can be like a year, and there's quite a waiting list. So it's not easy.
absolutely.
All right, so it's time for real-time review. We're doing some Gen AI challenge today about fake commercials, and our producer, Edward, is going to explain to us the rules. So, Edward, let us know what's up.
For our real-time review today, Nic and Albane are going to compete in an AI-powered ad challenge using VEO3. Now, the parameters of this competition is as follows. They have to use the brand KFC. The Colonel has to be the main character. The theme of the ad is Formula 1. The ad needs to be 10 seconds long. And lastly, they only have 5 minutes to do it. It's going to be chaotic, but let's see what happens when man meets machine.
Okay, let's go.
A few moments later.
Okay, let me know if you think this is worthy of a can lion or not.
Okay, here we go. Playing. That's not bad. That's quite good. That is really good. I think you're gonna
We'll
be
see.
disappointed with mine because I wanted mine to flow a little bit more. Okay, I'll show you mine. I think this is actually I do see the vision. I see the creative vision here. So
All right,
I'll
Simi.
show you. So I want to introduce a little bit the creative concept
Okay.
to our listeners. So what I was thinking is, okay, when you're watching the Formula One in the crowd, there's obviously a lot of noise. So I wanted to like have my first scene being super loud with the noise of the cars, and then we turn to KFC's Colonel that has a bucket next to him, and then as he bites into it, like silence arrives and you just hear like the bubble of the fried chicken, like the oil.
Oh,
So that
cool.
was like
Okay.
the idea, like you transition from like
Oh,
chaos to calm. See,
I like it
this is
where
the
this creative
vision.
direction's coming
KFC
from.
brings you calm and peace. But so it starts like this, and then it goes to this. I think it's because I said 10 seconds. So it didn't really do what I wanted, where there's a little bit of movement, but it didn't really add like
You have like a Ken Burns effect. It feels like a documentary about the
it.
Colonel
Yeah.
on the
So
F1
I
track.
feel like if I had another prompt to say like make it flow like a film,
Right.
maybe we'll have something.
I think if you workshopped it a bit more,
Yeah.
your vision would come. It's not bad though. It's cool. I
Do
have
you approve
one creative
my
note.
creative direction?
No, it's cool. I mean, one creative note. I don't know why the bucket is dissolving, like it's
Yeah, I
appearing. Is
don't
that
get it. And it's like it's one. I really was proud, and I was like shot one, shot two, and then it just gave me this thing. But I think the idea was quite good.
it's deep, you know? It's like it's deep. I think we need to put some like some sort of like introspective music and
Yeah,
then some sound effect when
yeah,
he manifests the chicken in front of his his
yeah,
hands.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like there's even now I can say I think you're a winner here, because this is not conveying in any way. I mean, I feel like the colonel looks like him, so that's quite good. I
No,
think I mean, he's
that's great.
he looks like him. Then, the KFC, bucket is there. So done here. And I think I even sneaked a little F1 logo in the background. So in terms of IP infringement, I think I've done pretty good.
Yeah, you hacked it. Well done. Well, look, I mean, I don't know. Let's let the viewers and the listeners judge. So, take a look, and then we'll take a tally, and whoever gets the most will win. We shall see.
Sounds good.
So, should we jump over to our deep dive discussion?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Okay, so for this first deep dive, so we looked back a little bit at what type of questions both Sawhorse and GEEIQ were receiving on a more frequently basis, and also I think we've had a little help from Gemini to understand what were the top asked questions by brands when they were looking to enter gaming or had question around gaming. And Nic and I picked the top two that came out from this search results, which was how do we reach the right gaming audience, which is quite interesting. And then the other one was, I think, something that Nic and I speak a lot in the podcast, which is how can you be authentic, avoid the cringe. So I thought that was quite interesting. So what we'll do is deep dive a little bit into these two questions. And the first one I think is quite interesting, which is the right audience. So Nic, do you want to kick things off and tell our listeners a little bit about how they can find the right platform for them based on their audience?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think a lot of them think like, oh, I want to reach Gen Z or I want to reach gamers. And that's so broad that they actually have a more specific target than that. So one of the questions that I love to ask our clients is really specifically what is the demographic you want to reach? So once we know exactly what that is, male, female, age range, like things that they're interested in, right? So that once you start like calling that down, it starts to become a bit more specific. Then you need to look at the platform data. Like what are the users of this platform?
Mhm.
What is those demographics? And then you start to line up and you can advise on where to activate. Also, GEEIQ is a great platform or a great solution to see like certain demographics that are beyond what the platforms will offer themselves. So that's where I start. What about
Thanks.
you?
Thanks for the little segue here, but yes, you're absolutely right. Well, I think the issue that a brand, when you think about reaching gamers in general, I think it's a little bit like saying we want to reach movie watchers or we want to reach TikTokers or people that watch TikTok. I think there's the gaming audience is really fragmented, and there's not one type of gaming profile. And depending on, as Nic said, the audience that you're trying to reach, Candy Crush might be the right game for you, and you might have to go for that route, or it might be Fortnite, or it might be Assassin's Creed. It really depends of who you're trying to reach, and again, the type of engagement that you're looking to receive within your activations. I think different type of platform and different types of game are going to allow for a certain type of strategy, whether that is paid media or an IP partnership, or like we're seeing more now as a model is those new UGC platform like Roblox, Fortnite, where they're very similar to TikTok or Facebook. They really are an evolution of social media. And I think maybe Nic, I think if you were to explain to a brand why Roblox, I think I still see some misalignment on Roblox being a game, and I think it's quite clear that it's a platform. But how would you describe, I guess, the difference between Fortnite, Roblox to an Assassin's Creed or Sims to a client?
Well, I would describe Roblox as being like the best example of a metaverse platform. Essentially it's like a big open space with tons of different type of games with a massive audience where people can kind of choose what they want to do in those spaces. So there's a lot of freedom there. And plus the audience is very diverse. It's almost like
Mhm.
50-50 male, female, and it's also a semi-wide, demographic and age. So you really have the opportunity to create a game or like find a game that is very specific and your audience is probably playing it. Unlike something like a Fortnite, where a Fortnite is sort of it's more male dominated. A lot of the people playing those games, they're third person like shooting games.
Mhm.
That's not all of it. That's starting to broaden out, but like that's the demo kind of skews in that way. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind
right.
of the thought process of like,
Yeah, I
going
think
on to a Roblox versus a Fortnite.
that's right. I think what happened is that Roblox from the very start was a platform, so they didn't move from having their own IP, and from the very beginning it was a UGC platform where creators could build their own games and experiences within the platform. Where Fortnite started with a very strong IP, which is Fortnite Battle Royale, and is now, because there is a shift, I think, in how audiences are consuming video games. We're seeing a similar shift from, what happened with films and social media, where you still have people that really enjoy long format quality films being made, but a lot like where it scales, it's on those snackable content, short videos, and we're seeing the same like the same shift happening on games, where you have those still AAA games, so like those that appeals to this hardcore purist gamers that love the narrative around those games, and then you have this new wave of players that just like snackable, short, quick content that they can engage frequently throughout the day, and that's going to be the Roblox. And Fortnite, I think, is in between the two at the moment, where they started and they have an engine that is prone to those AAA games, but they also are started with a very strong IP like Fortnite, and they're now launching this platform, and we are seeing an audience that is starting to diversify a little bit. But I agree with you, where right now it's not as diverse as the Roblox audiences, that obviously has more years of developing a more diverse audience. And I think what's quite interesting on
Yeah.
Roblox is, oh, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, just going back to the concept of the demographics and the concept of like these platforms being not just a game, like so many different types of games with all different micro audiences inside of it. So if you really can get a pulse on, what audience is in which different game, you can further target it. So if you're going to do an integration or an integration concept, you can find 3 or 4 games that are fully aligned with your target audience. Just going into some random racing game because you're trying to reach, players like they may not that audience may not be as relevant to you. And one
Mhm.
thing that was pointed out recently to me is this is something that GEEIQ offers. Do another plug there is essentially you can find out the demographics inside specific games. So you can advertise or, you can essentially integrate and do an integration into certain games that have a smaller audience, but
Mhm.
that audience might be your 100% target, females between the
That's right.
ages of like, 14 and 19 that live in the US, that that's it. So maybe
Yeah.
that's vast majority of the people playing that game is that demo. So you might get a smaller number of users, but all of them are targeted versus like going
Exactly. And
into a
qualified.
fashion game where it's like everyone under the sun is playing it. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but those impressions are less valuable because they're less targeted.
Absolutely. And I think so. I think if we were to round up, so this is a very quick deep dive. But there's so much that we need to unpack. But I I think if you're a brand, and what that means is, if you look at the whole gaming industry, there's going to be, depending on, again, on like who you're trying to reach, and also the model in which you want to engage. So whether it's paid media, whether it's IP partnership, or you're looking for something a little bit more flexible, so creating your own content in those UGC platform, there's going to be a stakeholder, so a developer or platform that's going to be right for you. And then what's more complex with Roblox is that obviously it's been a platform from the very beginning. So you're now comparing it to a TikTok, where you then need to decide who within that platform you want to target. And as you mentioned, there are those, I guess, akin to being influencers. So there are those new developers that have very unique audiences, that when you are a local team in France and you want to only reach the French audience of Roblox, then it might be actually easier to be able to partner with one of those developers, so that you can target just this audience and be really targeted, as Nic mentioned. So I think the first thing that a brand, when you're thinking about who is the right audience, is there is the right audience within gaming, that's for sure. And I think it's more about understanding, one, what type of budget and how you want to engage. Again, as I said, like paid media, having your own content, or doing a partnership with a developer. And then the other thing is more around, when you are engaging within those platforms, identifying what sub creator and developer you need to partner with, or you want to have your own experiences that you can really harness the audience that you want.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it really comes down to making sure that the brand is very clear on who they're trying to reach, and then working with teams and data platforms to make sure that you understand who is actually in those spaces,
Yeah.
and then targeting that activation.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way you're going to find the most success.
And then, so the segue to the next question is, segue to the next question is, how can we be authentic and avoid cringe? So I think here I'm gonna let you shine, Nick, because I think out of a lot of studios, you guys are day in, day out working with brands on how, I think it can be very daunting for a brand, because this is a new type of format that they have to see their brand in. So it can be very hard, I think, that balance between being attached and knowing what your brand message and your brand visual looks like, but in this new 3D format. So maybe you can speak about how do you help brands enter those experiences and those platforms in a way that feels still aligned?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the way I like to start answering it is by talking about how this is not traditional marketing or advertising. In traditional advertising, a brand says, "Look, this is how I want to represent myself. I'm buying the airtime for this. We're showing up, and this is how we should be perceived, and people are going to love us for that." It's not the same on social media. It's definitely not the same inside of gaming. And in gaming, you're basically like a guest in their house. That's the way I like to describe it. It's like you're showing up inside of a game they're already playing, or within like a gaming platform that they understand really well. So if you don't understand them and you're just showing up in a way that you think is going to look cool, it will get rejected. So, and it will be cringy AF. So really, what you have to do is you have to understand the platform. You have to understand the player. You have to respect the player. And you've
Yeah.
got to work with teams like Sawhorse and GEEIQ and others to, like, be educated, become educated on who the audience is.
Yeah.
And then you can understand how to speak to them.
Yeah. And I think something that can be a bit reassuring to the brands that are listening is that the trends that you're seeing on Roblox, for example, or even on Fortnite, now that they're leaning more toward a UGC model, is you're actually, you're talking to a similar type of audience that you can also find on TikTok. So actually the topic of trends and, what's relevant is not so dissimilar. So you have your fashion experiences that are like outfit of the day style, like type of content. You also have, the Italian brain rot that has taken over the internet at this point. You also have, when we think about avatar customization, you also have Labubus that are now, being sell. I don't think they're official, but it all goes to show that people are when they are creating these experiences, it's based on what they're seeing in real life or other content that they're seeing on other social platforms. So it's not so dissimilar, so it doesn't feel like completely foreign. So I think the thing that brands have to understand is more about how do we tap into youth culture, and you look into what is currently relevant on other platform, and there's a way for you to be able to translate that within Roblox. But it starts from the very top about how are we going to make our brand relevant to like this youth culture that is on all of the social media platform, and then translating that within a Roblox format, a TikTok format, a Snapchat format.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that. And then another flag that I just want to throw out there is that you you have to, obviously, when it comes to a brand, it's got to be authentic to the brand. It's got to be within the brand guidelines. It can't be something that's so different that is not aligned with the brand. But you look at something like a Roblox, it's like wacky culture and randomness is
Yeah.
really celebrated, So as a brand, you need to have an open mind. It's like,
Yeah.
look, we have our brand guidelines, we're going to stick to those, but we're going to have fun. Like what is a wacky version of Coca-Cola? Or what is a wacky, a better example would be like a brand like Aloe or, one of these clothing brands or beauty brands. It's like,
Hmm.
what's a wacky version of that that's still within the brand guidelines?
Yeah.
Those are the type of things that you build and the way you show up where the audience there is like, wow, that's cool. They're having fun. They get me. That's an awesome brand, as opposed to if you show up too straight and narrow and too polished, they may not want it. And
Yeah.
one great, parallel there, just really quick, is avatars. You
Yeah,
know,
I agree. And I think it's the same principle of if you were to recreate a TV commercial and just put that on TikTok, it's gonna
hmm
flop because the content is not adapted. There's no hook. There's not like all the codes that now we know about how to create a TikTok video that is going to receive engagement. So it's not so dissimilar. Where obviously it has to still be the brand message, but the content has to be adapted. But I think something that's maybe we can touch upon slightly while it wasn't in the top questions. On Roblox, there's obviously the content side, which is when you're creating an experience, and this is the an owned content that the brand has. There's also the new product side, which is digital items that brands can sell within, for people to dress their avatar. I think we both have worked on a lot of different projects. Tommy Hilfiger, Aloe, you've worked on a lot of different projects that made essentially the brand create different types of products in a digital format. And I think this is where what you just said I really resonate with, which is you need to think a little bit outside your physical product to create something that's really relevant, I think, to how people are dressing within the platform. And something I haven't seen, so I'm putting the idea out there because I would love to see your brands do it. But we know that doing IP partnership is hard when you're creating a product. It takes time, but Unilever has done it in 4 months, but it still takes time. But I'm still really keen to see those unique collabs between brands and IP that are so, like, I don't know, unexpected, but can only live in a platform like Roblox because it's quick, it's easy. There's no commitment of creating a product that's associated with a large upfront cost. I don't know. I was just thinking, like, can we have an actual like Le Boo partnership, but with I don't know, a luxury brand? Like, let's just do something like really fun, where actually those places allows you to be a lot more reactive when it comes to creating a new collab for a product, but it's a digital format.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that a platform like Roblox is so open and so
Yeah.
diverse that you can do whatever you want and you can get away with it. You could figure out, you could find your audience within that, or you can tailor something in such a bizarre or specific way that it hits something. Very different than like AAA gaming. Like, let's say you wanted to get into Call of Duty. Like that's a very specific type of game with a very specific audience. Like, if you're a brand or an IP and you want to align yourself with that, it's completely doable, but it has to make sense and it has to fit in with that regimented vision of what the game is. Roblox is not a game. It is a game of games. It's
Yeah,
everything.
it's a platform. I think if we were to just say, like, think of it as like YouTube or TikTok, but for it's like 3D experiences or like mini games. I would say that's kind of, I don't want to say mini games actually, because I think when we see a lot of the, like, just train your dragon, I think what you guys have created is like the quality now of the type of experiences that you can get on Roblox is far exceeding what we used to know when the platform first launched. But essentially, it's just a multitude. I was looking at their website. It's over 3 million experiences that are now available on Roblox. So it's just to show you this large sheer amount of volume of content that is available. And when you have so many experiences, you obviously can deduct that there are many different types of audiences that like different kind of games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fertile ground to experiment
Absolutely.
and play in.
So we hope that you enjoyed this kind of format. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, put that in the comments so that in the next episode, Nic and I can do another deep dive. Let's get on with the rest of the show.
Let's go back to the show. So played out this week. I didn't have anything that was super bothering me, but one thing I think I just wanted to acknowledge, I think everybody listening can relate to this. If you work a job that requires you to be on the computer and on calls, we're spending all of our days within Zoom and Google Meet and Microsoft Teams staring at screens, staring at people and saying words. And, I get a little Zoom fatigue toward the end of the day. I've been on, 5 hours of Zoom calls. I have to make myself presentable. I've got to look at all these people. And occasionally, a client or like a vendor or one of my colleagues will just straight up call my phone, as opposed to me being on the camera for a scheduled meeting. And it's such a relief. I'm like, oh, great. I'm not on the camera right now. Okay. And then I can walk around my house and I'm on the phone call, just having a phone call, old school phone call. And it's so refreshing and it's a good change of pace. So what I'm saying is, like, doing all of our correspondence via Zoom is a bit played out. Why not mix it up with some phone calls?
That is a very, very 2000 and I don't know,
It's throwback.
pre-COVID. Essentially, it's a pre-COVID idea. To be fair, I can't remember the last time I had a phone call. I think it was before COVID because
That's messed up.
everything now is on Zoom. So I do see it. I do see it, but I think I still like to see people's faces. I connect a bit better. But you're right. If you know the person, if you've been working with a partner for so long, maybe a phone call is actually quite nice and enjoyable. So I can
Yeah.
get that.
I think it's great for like one-on-one or, 3 people or something, but it gets a little weird if it's like a business call. And I don't know if you've been on that scenario, but I've been on a call with clients and like there's like a lot of people on the call and it's
Yeah,
total
yeah, yeah.
black. You're just black. You don't know who's on there. And all of a sudden some new voice chimes in halfway through the call. You're like, oh, comms is on this call? Oh, geez. Okay, I didn't realize.
Yeah, yeah,
So there
yeah.
is a point to video calls for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. When I was working at Havas, we used to have those like really big conference calls, and then you had, this like, how do you call it? It was like this middle microphone that looked like a spider that
Yeah.
essentially was made for everyone in the room to be listened to, but it was a nightmare to like work it out. But yeah, it was the good old days of like, yeah, I don't know what was it called. It was just like a dial call or something.
Yeah, that's the old days, but we're moving on.
I do see it. On
What's played out for you?
played out for me, to be honest, it's been a bliss. The only thing that's happened to me has been like a very difficult district line. So like that's the line that I take to get to work. And the UK, as much as I love this country and I, now British as well, so that I'm not leaving anytime soon. They just don't know how to deal with weather changes. So when it's really cold, the tube don't work. When it's really hot, like it is at the moment, the tube don't work because there's like the cables don't work. So it took me an hour to get back home because there was no tube. Apparently there was a fire alert or something like that due to the heat. So yeah, so that's my played out. But to be honest, it's been a bliss this week. So I don't have much to say outside of public transport.
you're a fragile nation.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. And I will say Los Angeles is fragile when it comes to rain. You'll find this funny living in London. It's like it never rains here. And when it rains, people are like, whoa, I can't drive my car because there's rain. It's really
Oh, that's
weird.
nice.
All kinds of stuff shuts down. It's like people are like, oh man, you got to go out in that rain. It's like, it's just water coming from the sky, you guys, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
It's fine. But I guess I don't know. Is the do you have like light rain? I feel like because it's a desert, it's gonna be more like torrentious rain, like really
No,
heavy rain.
it's
No.
it's it's any kind of rain, but it only happens like 10 times a year.
Oh
So,
God.
and that's like a day here and there.
You're so lucky.
It's a drought. It's a drought situation. It's not good. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
dry
yeah.
skin. What are you gonna do?
So a very little played out for me this week. Not much to complain about, which is a good thing.
Hey, uptown problems, man. We got a good life, so let's appreciate it, and let's appreciate all of our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week and
Yeah,
following us and listening, and we appreciate you guys. And we love that we're doing this. We're something like 23 weeks in, and we're not stopping anytime soon.
yeah,
So, great
yeah.
episode. Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
No, same again. Wanted to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week. And wanted to give our cue to Edward to read us out.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Albane Prioux and Nic Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Edward Regu, with creative direction by Joey Jeddah and Javad Kazmi, and audio engineering by Somran Kiyo. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host reporters. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information. It is intended for informational purposes. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.